Every single night, each of us, we slip into this other world. It's a world that's built from our memories, our emotions, our wildest imaginations. Dreams, they're one of the most universal things about being human, but they're also one of our deepest, most personal mysteries. So what's really going on when we close our eyes?
The poet Alfred Lord Tennyson really hit on something here, didn't he? When you're in a dream, it feels completely real. I mean, the joy, the fear, the absolute confusion, it's all happening to you in that moment. It really makes you wonder, how thin is that line between our waking lives and the other life we lead in our minds every single night?
So what's with this number, 197,100? Well, research suggests that by the time you're about 60 years old, you will have had, on average, that many dreams. Just think about that. That's an entire hidden lifetime spent in worlds that we create ourselves.
Okay, so to start to unravel this whole mystery, we're not going to jump right into complex brain science. Nope, we're going to start with a story. It's a personal, really relatable story about a recurring dream that held a pretty powerful secret. I want you to imagine this. There's this researcher, and after a super demanding 50-year career, he finally retires. He's expecting, peace and quiet. But instead, his nights are just filled with this strange, persistent dream that he absolutely cannot shake. So, in the dream, he's back at his very first job, and he's walking on this long, unfamiliar road behind the factory. He's trying to find the turnoff, the path that leads home after work, but he can never find it. He just keeps walking, feeling more and more lost.
And it took him a while, but he finally realized the dream was a perfect metaphor for his waking life. After a lifetime of purpose and structure, retirement had left him feeling totally aimless, lost on a long road with no clear way home. But then, something amazing happened. He discovered a new passion for research and writing, and just like that, the dream was gone. It had done its job. Let's hang on to that idea.
Okay, so that story suggests dreams have meaning, right? A purpose. But before we can get into the why of it all, we really need to understand the how. What is our brain actually doing every night to build these incredible, elaborate worlds?
You see, sleep isn't just an on or off switch. It's a journey. We start off in what's called non-REM or NREM sleep, which has 4 stages. First, you get into that drowsy state. Then you drift into light and moderate sleep before finally hitting stage 4, deep, slow-wave sleep. This is where your body does most of its heavy lifting, all the physical repairs. This whole cycle is basically the on-ramp to where the real show begins.
And then you enter REM sleep. That stands for rapid eye movement. Now, the absolutely fascinating thing about REM sleep is what a paradox it is. Your brain activity, it looks almost exactly like it does when you're wide awake. Your heart rate and your breathing get all erratic, and yet your body is almost completely paralyzed. This state, it's called atonia, and it's this brilliant built-in safety feature. It's what stops you from physically acting out that dream where you're flying or, fighting off a horde of zombies.
So what this means is that all of us enter this bizarre state, internally chaotic but externally paralyzed, several times a night. But why? For what purpose? Well, that question has kicked off one of the longest-running debates in psychology and neuroscience. On one side of the ring, you've got the father of psychoanalysis himself, Sigmund Freud. He famously argued that our dreams are a form of wish fulfillment. They are the stage where our deepest, often repressed, desires and anxieties get to play out, usually in some symbolic way. For Freud, every single dream was like a secret, coded message from our unconscious mind.
But then, fast forward to the 1970s, and a completely biological theory hits the scene. Researchers Hobson and McCarley came up with the activation synthesis theory. They basically said that during REM sleep, your brainstem just fires off a bunch of random electrical signals up to the cortex. And dreams? They're simply your brain's best shot at weaving those random signals into a story that makes some kind of sense. It's not about deep meaning, it's just the mind trying to make sense of neural static.
So for decades, the debate was pretty much framed like this. Is the mind a poet, crafting these meaningful tales from our hidden wants? Or is it just a storyteller, making up narratives from random biological noise? But the modern view is a little more interesting. It's not about choosing a side. It's more about the idea of psychology being built on top of biology. Maybe our deep psychology, all our hopes and fears, uses that random neural static as its raw material. Maybe the storyteller is also a poet. And modern research is showing that no matter where they come from, dreams have these powerful, practical functions that affect our waking lives in some really profound ways. They're way more than just a nightly movie. Check out this classic experiment. Researchers had a group of people learn how to get through a really complex virtual maze. Afterwards, half of the people got to take a nap, while the other half had to stay awake.
And here's the incredible part. The people who napped did better than those who didn't. But the ones who specifically said they dreamed about the maze, they showed a staggering 10-fold improvement compared to those who napped but didn't dream about it. So it wasn't just about rest. The dream itself was actively rehearsing and cementing that memory. And that's just one tool in what you could call the dreamer's toolkit. Dreams help consolidate our memories. It's like running a nightly defrag on your brain. They give us a safe space to process tough emotions. They can be this incredible source of creativity. I mean, Stephenie Meyer famously got the whole idea for the Twilight series from a vivid dream she had. And some theories even suggest dreams are like a virtual reality simulator, letting us practice our fight or flight responses for real-world threats.
So we've covered the personal, the biological, and the practical. But the story of dreams, it doesn't stop there. Some experiences out there push the very boundaries of what we think is possible, suggesting our minds might be capable of a whole lot more than we know.
Okay, this one's a little spooky. Just 3 days before he was assassinated, Abraham Lincoln told his wife and a few friends about this deeply disturbing dream he'd had. He said he heard sobbing in the White House, so he started wandering around, and when he got to the East Room, he saw a casket surrounded by soldiers and mourners.
So confused, Lincoln asked one of the guards in his dream who had died. The soldier replied, "The president. He was killed by an assassin." 3 days later, Lincoln was shot and killed by John Wilkes Booth. Was that just a coincidence? Or something more?
Now, this isn't just a historical anecdote. Between 1964 and 1978, the Maimonides Dream Lab actually ran controlled experiments to test for dream telepathy. The setup was simple. A sender in one room would concentrate on a random piece of art, trying to transmit that image to a sleeper in a completely different room. As soon as the sleeper entered REM, they were woken up and asked what they were dreaming about. The results were definitely controversial, but the lab reported that time and time again, the dream reports had elements that were a statistically significant match to the target image. Which leaves us with this really profound question. We've seen that dreams can process our past, helping us learn and heal. We've seen theories that they prepare us for future threats. And we've seen evidence, however strange, that they might even perceive things beyond the reach of our normal senses. It really makes you wonder, what else is going on in that hidden world we visit every night?
Maybe in the end, the science can only take us so far. As the actress Shirley MacLaine put it, dreams might just be gifts. They show up every night, offering insight, creativity, and practice. What we do with them, whether we just write them off as noise or we actually explore them for meaning, well, that's ultimately up to us.